Ciao, sono Stefano. Iniziamo tra 2 minuti. Hi, Stefano here. We'll start in 1 minute. If you have any questions, type them in. Don't wait until the end. You may ask in Italian, in English. Could be about the Italian language, grammar, vocabulary, how to learn languages in general. Already got one. Hi, Katie. Good, it's 9 a.m. here in a secret location. My name is Stefano. I'm your Italian language coach. And today we talk about how to learn Italian fast. And I'll also answer any questions you may have about learning Italian, learning languages in general, or anything related to the language. Also Italy in general, if I can answer. I do have something I want to share with you, my tips to learn faster, but if you have any questions, do type them in. Don't wait until the end. It's certainly going to be more relevant to you. And maybe I also got the chance to cover what I wanted to cover anyway. You already got the first one. Ciao, Katie. Some adjectives come before the noun, sometimes after. How can we make a good guess where to put the adjective? Yes, this is confusing for many learners. You could think of, let's say, the default position, put it after the noun. Then, depending on what you want to emphasize, what you stress out, you can move it before the noun. Let's say a general rule, not only about the order of noun and adjectives, but the order of any word inside a sentence, is that, generally speaking, you put the new information at the end. If the new information, let's say that you bought a car. You bought a big car, a large car. Well, in English, it's a large car, whatever you want to say, or whatever you want to stress out. Maybe you could adjust the intonation, a big car, or a big car. In Italian, you can move the adjective. The standard sentence would be, ho comprato una macchina grande. But you could also say, ho comprato una grande macchina. They answer, you can think of these two sentences as answers to different questions. Ho comprato una grande macchina could be the first time you mention this, and the event is that you bought something, and it's a car. It also happens to be big. And in fact, the last word in the sentence is macchina. That's the new information. You're stressing out that you bought something and it's a car. And one of its attributes is that it's big. Ho comprato una grande macchina. But if you already had a car, it was small, and you're talking with your friend that knew about your small car, and you want to stress out that the car that you bought recently is big, then it makes sense to say ho comprato una macchina grande, implying this time I bought a big one, not like the other. Ho comprato una macchina grande. And you might continue the sentence, I bought a big car because we have 3 kids. Ho comprato una macchina grande perché abbiamo 3 figli. Then you're stressing out big and also explain why. Just an example. That's this general rule that new information goes to the end is common to, I would say, many languages, at least to those languages, the Italian one. Some languages have a completely different sentence structure. Japanese, Tagalog. But this is, yeah. You can think of sentences, even if they're not answers, like nobody asked you anything, but you can think of them as answers to a question. And if the question is, what did you buy? Then the answer and the stress, the information is that you bought a car. If the question was, what's your car like? Or is it big or small? Then you want to stress out that it's big. Good. If anyone else has questions, feel free to ask them. My best tip to learn languages in general and Italian in particular, that is, you should be speaking all the time. Many learners study grammar, they translate sentences, even long texts, but they rarely speak with someone. And as a result, they're able to understand Italian, especially in reading, to a lesser extent listening. But they have a hard time speaking. Writing less because they have time to think. Speaking, study time is skewed towards grammar and translation. That's likely the way you studied foreign languages in school. And that's still what many people expect it to be like when they choose a language course, whether it is live class or a language app. That's why my own course, Ripeti con me, repeat after me, is an audio course because you get to hear real world sentences, real world material, and use it, you repeat it right away. It's an alternative, you could say a second best solution. The idea of speaking with someone, but it takes money if you pay for lessons, time if you do a language exchange, and you might feel more comfortable, especially in the beginning, to practice by yourself. Also because you can do it at any time, anywhere. You push play and you speak. Personally, I should say that it's never too early to speak with someone. Me personally, as a language learner myself, I take my first live one-to-one tutoring session on Skype or similar tools on day 1 or 2. And I keep doing it all the way to fluency. Tagalog, the language, or at least the official language of the Philippines. And I'm taking a 1 hour lesson a day, every day. This is different from what I used to do. I used to take one lesson every 2 or 3 days, mainly to save money. But I wanted to do this experiment, and indeed, the more often you do, the faster you make progress. If you have, if money is not an issue, it's not a problem for you, you should be speaking on Skype or Zoom with someone every day. The more often, the better. You could keep it. Some people get tired. You could 5 minutes. Me personally, I don't mind feeling tired. I know how it works, and I enjoy it anyway. So I always do 1 hour sessions. I also take audio courses when I'm alone. And together, yes, you get to speak a lot throughout your study time. And there's no distinction between practice, not like those lessons in school when first and then you practice by writing sentences, translating. Learning and practice, they're just the same thing. That's also what you achieve with my Italian courses, because there are no explanations, which might scare off some. But the benefit is that you are speaking all the time without thinking. Because many people, they know things, they know a lot, they studied grammar and stuff, but when it's time to speak, then they think about this verb is which conjugation is it this past? Which kind of past tense? It's me, you. The flow is lost. Good if you could analyze the brain waves inside your head when you're someone who studied the language and someone who learned it by they call it acquisition, the way you learn your own native language. You will see that your brain works in a different way. That's what I hope that you achieve with my courses. Any questions? Other questions from Katie or other watchers? Also, say hello. Tell me where you are, how long you've been studying, if you're taking my courses. If yes, why? If not, why? I'm curious. Your comments in the chat box. Then you might be wondering, how do I get to speak if I'm studying alone? Well, first, with an audio course, like Ripeti con me, repeat after me, a course, you get to speak 20, 30 minutes a day, every day. Then if you want to do other activities, it could be watching something, let's say a video on YouTube. It should be short, or at least you should break it into short bits. And you don't watch the whole thing. You watch a minute or so, and then go back and try to shadow the speaker. Repeat what you hear. Shadowing means that, yes, you hear something and you repeat along, you speak along with the speaker. That's also what you do with my courses. Don't worry if you can follow, you can catch all the words. If you're too slow, it's perfectly normal. As long as you're speaking and you know what you are saying also is you're making progress. You might not feel it right away, but after a night of sleep, you you realize that you already know more than you did yesterday and think and speak faster than you did the day before. That's why I always recommend taking a night of sleep between two lessons. And if you enjoy writing, always read aloud, think aloud, and write, and read aloud what you're writing so that you get to speak. Also, when you're reading, you should be reading aloud. That was a common practice in the ancient times. In ancient times, in the Middle Ages, also, when people didn't have many books and people wanted to memorize a whole book. Now it's never tried. In this age, we don't need that much like that kind of memory. We don't even need to memorize the phone number nowadays. But people used to read aloud to to memorize, to remember more, to retain more of what they read. And it still works. If you enjoy reading, don't read quietly, silently. Always read aloud. Doesn't need to be loud, but you should be speaking. Some people ask me, should I take? Can I take your course? Can I take your courses on the while on the subway? It feels awkward to speak to myself when I'm surrounded by people. I don't need to shout, even mumbling. Okay? You can wear a mask. Nowadays, it's perfectly normal. Anyway, people are too busy looking at their phones. Even if you are talking to yourself, I think no one would notice. Do you have any other questions? Because I already shared with you what I wanted to share. That is, my tip to learn faster, you should be speaking all the time. If you're reading, read aloud. If you're writing, speak what writing. If you watch something, repeat, replay, and repeat. And if you're listening, repeat. That's what I do and what I want you to do with my courses. Ripeti con me. Repeat after me. Even if you're left with questions, because there are no explanations inside the course. Well, there are explanations, but not inside the course, separate pages. Like, well, why is the adjective before or after the noun? Don't become obsessed with grammar. Eventually, it will make sense, and in the process, you will get to practice a lot, and everything will become easier and faster. This is my tip for you. I don't see any other questions, and I haven't had breakfast yet. If you do have any questions, this is your last chance. Or else I'll have my breakfast. I don't see any. Good. See you on Thinking Italian. and see you again on YouTube next month.